Imagine this. There are those who speak with oceans of words and yet leave the soul untouched. And there are those who say almost nothing, but in their silence, something ancient in you stirs. Something you had forgotten, but always carried. Not all knowing is knowledge. Not all seeing is vision. Beneath every conversation, every glance exchanged in passing, there is a silent river, carrying you toward a destiny you yourself once chose, before memory, before time. Each encounter, each clash, each tender connection is not random. It is a mirror, a crack in the surface of your constructed self, an invitation back to the vastness you once knew. What if the people who challenge you most, who awaken pain or wonder in you, are not obstacles, but secret architects shaping the cathedral of your becoming? The journey of true wisdom is not linear. It coils, spirals, returns, forgets, remembers. It is not measured by how much you know, but by how deeply you live, how courageously you see. Why do some people spend their whole lives learning, yet remain trapped in ignorance? Why are there those who have never studied a single philosophy, yet live with profound understanding and boundless compassion? Today, let us step beyond knowledge. Let us listen not only with our minds, but with the silent intelligence of the soul. Let us remember, you are not here to know everything. You are here to become everything you already are. Part 1. The hidden architects of your becoming. There is a secret architecture to your life, an invisible hand shaping every encounter, every glance across a crowded room, every word that wounded you more deeply than you dared admit. It is not random. It was never random. The friend who betrayed you, the stranger who smiled when you thought you were invisible, the mentor who taught you without speaking, the lover who left and, in doing so, broke you open. Each one a cipher, each one a doorway, each one a fragment of the greater design, a design you yourself whispered into being long before memory clothed you in a name and a story. In the depth psychology of Jung, we call this individuation, the slow, spiraling awakening of the soul into the fullness of itself. An individuation does not happen through success alone. It happens through the cracks, through the breaking, through the strange, magnetic pull of encounters you did not choose with your mind, but could not escape with your heart. Every relationship is a mirror, not of who you think you are, but of the vast, silent self waiting to be remembered. Some mirrors flatter, some shatter. Both are necessary. You see, your soul is not moving forward like a train on a track. It is moving inward, downward, deeper, like roots seeking the dark earth, like rivers returning to the source they forgot. Time is not linear in the unfolding of the soul. Moments from decades ago can rise today, fresh as the first wound, not to punish you, but to complete something you began long before you could name it. Nothing real is ever wasted. Not a single heartbreak, not a single silence. Every fracture you survive becomes an opening through which the ancient light of your being can slip back in. So when someone wounds you, when life splits you open, pause, breathe. Do not rush to fix it, to understand it, to cover it over with cleverness. Instead, listen. Listen as if the crack itself were speaking. Because it is, and it is saying, you are not broken. You are being shaped. Part 2. The 5 thresholds of true seeing. If every crack is a doorway, then what lies beyond the doorway? Not more knowledge, not more cleverness, but a slow descent into deeper ways of seeing, ways the mind alone cannot chart. The soul does not awaken all at once. It crosses thresholds, each one peeling away another layer of forgetting, each one demanding a different kind of courage. Today, we will walk together through 5 thresholds, not as a race to some higher place, but as a spiral dance inward, toward the silent core you have always carried. The first threshold is borrowed wisdom. Here, you gather what others have said, truths spoken by sense, scholars, dreamers. You memorize, you repeat. You build a beautiful house of words, but have not yet lived a single stone of its foundation. This is not wrong. It is a beginning, necessary, inevitable. Every soul begins by echoing another, but if you linger too long here, you risk mistaking the map for the journey, the song for the singing, the truth for the telling. The second threshold is reflective wisdom. Something shifts, a crack appears, you begin to question. Not out of rebellion, but out of an unbearable longing to touch what is real. You no longer swallow every teaching. You hold it in your hands, turn it over. Ask it quietly, are you true for me? Reflection is painful. It demands the death of old certainties. It strips away the comfort of borrowed answers. Yet without it, you cannot pass deeper. Without it, you remain a ghost walking through other people's dreams. The third threshold is embodied wisdom. Here, truths are no longer things you can quote. They become the way your feet touch the earth, the way you listen to pain without turning away, the way your silence speaks louder than any argument. You are no longer interested in convincing others. You are only interested in living what you have seen. It is said in the old mysteries, the word must become flesh. Here, it does, and yet, the journey is not over. There are still veils to lift, still illusions to dissolve, because beyond the wisdom of living lies the wisdom of dissolving, and that is what waits at the fourth and fifth thresholds. But let us move slowly. Each layer deserves reverence. Each threshold is a sacred death, a sacred birth. And you are already walking it, even now. Part 3. The death of the self, the birth of seeing. As you cross the third threshold, where wisdom becomes breath, gesture, silence, a new, stranger doorway appears. It is the fourth threshold, selfless wisdom. Here, something ancient within you begins to tremble, not out of fear, but out of recognition. You realize that even your seeking, even your thirst for understanding, was still a story woven around me. The clever mind, the wise student, the spiritual seeker, all masks spun to keep the illusion of separateness alive. At this threshold, the masks fall away, not because you rip them off, but because you no longer believe they are needed. You do not dissolve the ego through force. You outgrow it, the way a bird outgrows its shell, the way a river outgrows the rocks that once confined it. You live more lightly, because there is no longer a heavy self to carry. You see others not as competitors, not as audiences, but as reflections of the same silent mystery flowing through you. And yet, even here, even in this luminous absence, one final veil remains. Beyond the selfless wisdom, there is the last threshold, wordless wisdom. At this place, no concept remains, no philosophy survives. Not because you deny them, but because you no longer need them. The truth is no longer something you can name, own, defend. It simply is. And you are no longer the one who knows the truth. You have become the space where truth shines on its own. Like sunlight falling on water, like breath dissolving into air, you live without the constant burden of being someone, of knowing something, of arriving anywhere. The soul does not reach this place by effort. It falls here, like a drop returning to the ocean it never truly left. And in this falling, everything you've thought you were dissolves into what you have always been. Presence, stillness, a seeing without a seer, a love without an owner. This is not an end. It is a beginning without beginning. It is the life you were born remembering, and forgot, only to remember again through the cracks, the falls, the openings. Returning to the silent light, perhaps now, you can see. The cracks were never your failures. They were invitations, secret doorways back to yourself. Every loss, every rupture, every longing you could not name, each one a messenger, sent not to break you, but to open you, to remind you of the vastness you once hid from yourself. You were never here to become someone perfect. You were here to remember what is already whole. You were never here to gather trophies of knowledge. You were here to become so silent, so clear, that wisdom could walk through you like the wind through trees, unclaimed, unnamed, free. And now, standing at the threshold, you do not need to force anything. You do not need to rush towards some imagined summit. You need only what you have needed all along, to listen, to trust a trembling within you, to follow the cracks, those sacred fractures, until they open wide enough for you to step through, and on the other side, not a new identity, not a grand revelation, but a simple, wordless light, the same light that was always shining, even when you had forgotten where to look. The path home was never a line you had to climb. It was a spiral turning ever inward, until you became the seeing itself, the presence itself, the silent light that has no beginning and no end. And perhaps you already are. Thank you for being here.